All right, so hopefully you're nearly finished designing your car here. A couple things you probably noticed when you try to do your standard turning on it. It doesn't work very good because all these center points for the curves you add might be all over the place like mine are. It doesn't necessarily turn very well. I do have mine in the view with visual style wireframe and hidden edges right now just so I could see everything. And I turned all my sketches on. So one thing I had to do a lot of was go into and tweak the sketches so they more matched the shape of the vehicle to get so it actually lines up with the shape of the vehicle pretty well. And I did have to add a few guidelines, and then some of them worked, some of them didn't, but some of them helped out, especially like mine for the top where this line is off the door to the back. So if you have to add some guidelines, it's not too bad to do. For instance, like Loft 15, I did all that. So this one from the front to the back, I've got 4 lofts going on to the windshield, the back, and then the air scoop on the back. And there's a 3D sketch right here that I had to add a guide because it was just making the lines go straight down instead of where I wanted them. So I added a 3D sketch right along that edge and just picked those points on my sketches as I went. Now, of course, you have to turn all those sketches on to be able to pick them. So make sure you make them all visible to do that with. Okay. So I had to do that and then add a 3D sketch. And then I had to delete the loft without deleting the sketches that it consumed. Okay, there's a button for that when you pick delete. Call that visible. So like if you delete this loft, you have an option to get rid of all the sketches, and of course that's default, and that's not what you want to do here. Okay, when you add a 3D guide to it, I had to delete the loft and then add that into it, as you can see here. I showed you that a little bit last class too. Okay, there's a 3D sketch, the rail they call it in this item. Okay, that's that 3D line I gave. So today, if you've got most of your car done, which I'm sure a few of you do, the next thing I want you to do is kind of do your cutouts. So I'll show you one example. Like on this car, a lot of you will have similar examples. So my back bumper, let's go back to where it says 3D here, so you can see a little better. Show you with edges in them. So also, when I tweak those sketches, make sure you update the mirrored sections to delete half. Like, for instance, if I open this sketch, and I right-click and go slice graphics so I can see it. If you modify this half, of course, you have to delete this half and re-mirror it. And also notice a lot of times my mirror line was off center, so I had to use a vertical constraint and constrain the bottom of the mirror line to the bottom, to the origin, so it stayed in the middle. That helped out a lot too. But make sure when you're doing your when you're fixing your sketches, you fix the other side of the mirror too, so it works better. All right, so cutting into it. So this part all needs cut out here. Now you kind of can't see it as well because that's why I was in the hidden, so you can see the actual picture. But I wanted to show you what needs to be done here. So you don't have to match it exactly, but it's pretty close. So to do that, it's pretty easy. I'm going to back to wireframe with hidden edges. I'm going to try to follow this a little bit, but I don't want to make it that. Notice my wing's bigger on the back side. Actually, I wanted it that way. So I'm going to draw a little shape right here and basically just cut that out for the bumper. Maybe add some fillets to it at that time or later. So to do that, it's pretty easy. Just go to find that middle sketch, which after doing this so long, I know mine is. It's that one for sure is the middle one. Okay, and I'll just cut both directions when I get to it. So right-click on that, new sketch, go back to it, and then just draw lines to cut it out. And that's a little tricky to do, but I'll show you how to do it. So basically, figure out how far you want to go in. I'm not going in as far as they did. I'm going that far, okay? Actually, I don't want to draw that line that far because I want to put a radius right here on this. So I'm going to draw a line for about a small bumper, maybe from here to here, and I'll add a radius. Now I'm going to finish that line, add another one here. You can't really see it, but go down here. And now I'm just going to go way out here anywhere else. It doesn't matter because the part actually ends right in this area. So just make it bigger. It doesn't really matter how much bigger it is. Go down close to where I want to start cutting in. It's pretty sharp, so I'll probably go ahead and go down to there, and then this one I'm going to do with an arc. It's more realistic. And then just bend it in something like that, I guess. Okay. And it's already cut along here. Okay, so I'm just basically cutting out this crazy looking shape to get rid of what's in here is what all that was, just to get rid of what's in there. All right, and then be able to fillet this. I'm gonna put a fillet on it right now. I don't know, it's probably about 2-inch fillet. Remember, it's the size of a car, so you gotta, that was too much. 4.5. Okay, that's better. Okay, something like that. Finish that sketch, and that's right there in the middle of it. You can kind of see it in the middle. So then I'm gonna do back to 3D model. I'm gonna go to extrude. I'm going to switch it to both directions. I'm going to switch it to cut. And then through all. Okay. Now I got to pick my sketch course. Looks like I got to pick 2 of them. Okay. So I picked both those. I must have had a projected line in there somewhere. All right. So it's cutting all the way through everything in both directions. Okay. And then we hit OK. All right. Now let's see how that looks when I go back into the 3D. So that looks a lot better. You kind of got to ignore that middle picture there, but so that's pretty good like that. Now, so there's a lot of places that cut out. Like mine, I've got a bump across the bottom of this thing. I would definitely cut that out and just get rid of that little bump. I could tweak my sketches forever too, but at some point you got to decide it's close enough. So I'm gonna, since my windshield starts there, it needs to go up there. I'm just gonna run basically a block across the bottom of this and cut that out on that same plane. Okay, a lot of times in the front, if you go to the top, you know, you might have to do some tweaking on the bumper. The hood scoop's going in there. So, back to the hidden edges. So on the front of this one, does it have a hood scoop? I don't even know if it does. That's the back. I think I got the front. So this one has a big cutout basically in the window of the Corvette. If I pulled up a 3D, you could kind of see it better, but basically the back of this car is cut out. Okay, so if the front of your car is cut out, so let me go back to sketch 1 and turn all these images back on so you can see them. So there is a hood. This is cut out in the front, so I want to do a little shape like that and cut it into the front bumper. Okay, so cut that. You can do that same shape and cut it into the front bumper a few inches deep, so it'll look like that. Mine has a cutout into the back. It's got like almost like the engine's in the back of this car, so it's got a cutout in that. So there's a lot of cutouts you can do. Once you get those all done, you can start adding fillets. Okay, so anywhere that the radius is just that you got too many edges and you're not happy with, start doing some fillets. Now I'm not doing every one of these. I'm just showing you some examples. So like this one, right where this loft and the second loft started, there's a huge bump right up here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that with a fillet. So you should probably anywhere that you have, even like right here, I'll try to put a small fillet on it. All right, so add some fillets to your 3D shape, and that's a lot easier to do with shaded with edges. Okay, but to add a fillet is pretty easy. Sometimes it won't do it, but you can try. So 3D model and fillet, and usually you want that constant radius edge picked. I tested this before in Vegas. It would do is 2.7. So I pick on there, and it does that. You can try to make it bigger by going 2.8, and it fails. So the biggest it would do is 2.7. You just keep changing that number to get as large as you can. And that'll kind of blend that a little bit around there since it was such a sharp edge. I'm not really too worried about that half because later I'm going to cut that whole half away and mirror this over. Okay. So like if you look at your top, I'm just focusing on this half here. Because this one gets it's got some weird lines going on here in the back end. So later on I'm going to draw a box in the front, cut this whole half away and then mirror it across. Okay, so add the fillets. To get that done, so you've got to do all your cutouts, including for your wheels, okay? So after you get all those cutouts done, if you want to move on to the next section, you can cut out for your wheels. So to do that, it's pretty easy. You just kind of follow the lines for the car on the wheels. So I go to the 3D, which we really haven't talked about yet, wireframe with hidden edges. And you just follow this shape, and you do not cut it all the way through. Seems like I say that, and I always see 3 students that cut it all the way through. So this one is not cut all the way through. It's cut to a certain depth. So you need a plane on the front of this, and you need to cut it about the depth of the wheel, which I'll just do one for you to show you how to do it. All right, so I'm going to create a plane on the front of this thing. I know it's like 80 inches wide or something like that. So I'm going to go to that same plane, 3D model, offset from plane. You might want to watch me do this wheel one in case you haven't done it before, because everybody's going to have to do it. So I'm going to pick offset from plane, and then I'm going to find that center plane right there. And I know this thing's like 80 inches wide, so I'm going to type in 40. Okay, but it looks like the arrow's coming out at me. You can turn it, double check that. No, it's not. So I'm going to be a negative 40 because I want to do it on this side. Okay. All right, so now I've got that front plane right there. And on the front of this plane, I'm going to do a new sketch. And this is kind of just like all the other cutouts. You're going to try to match this cutout of the wheel well. Okay, so that's basically just an arc or two. I'm just going to do one. I'll do a couple, I guess, because it is a couple. I'm going to pick right there, and it looks like it's about the same radius to maybe right here. Okay, and then I'm going to hit enter and start again. And it's probably the same all the way to there on that one, or close. Yeah, see, it's matching up real nice right there. Not too bad anyway. And you'll definitely want to make all these tangent when you're done, because you don't want any lines in there. Okay, so if it doesn't automatically tangent like that one did, hit the tangent button. Force them to be tangent. That okay? Now it's a little bit bigger there, but I'm not too worried about it. Then see, my car goes all the way down to here, so you got to finish making that a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to draw a line. Try to stay tangent with that all the way down to here. Line it up with that one over to here. Now I've got a closed loop, so I can cut that out. Finish sketch, extrude, pick that surface, and it says it's not a closed loop. So, all right, so that's a good chance to show you how to fix when you get, because that's going to happen to everybody in here probably. So I go down to that last sketch that I created that was not a closed loop. It didn't like it, so it wouldn't do it. So I'm right-clicking on it. I'm going to edit it. And then this is called Sketch Doctor, which we haven't done a whole lot with. So Sketch Doctor, okay, diagnose the sketch. It's looking for all this stuff. The open loop's the main one I want to look for, but I might as well look for all of it. It says it's got an open loop. It's right there. You can see where I hit the button too fast. So hit next, next, close loop, finish. Select the curve to start and finish loop. Okay. Well, I'm in the sketch. I'm just going to fix it. So I go to coincident. Pick this one, go to that one, and I matched up pretty good. Finish sketch, now it'll work. Extrude, pick the surface I want to cut, switch it over to cut. Okay, and it's going the wrong direction, looks like. Yep, so switch directions. Okay, and now how deep you make it, that's the tricky part. So I'm going to go to the side view of this and then try to drag that arrow, but it'll let me until I'm past the wheel. So I just drag it. I had it for a second there. I had it again. I'm dragging that. Now I keep getting into big of a hurry. Okay, so I'm dragging that till it's to the wheel and maybe a little farther, right? So if I actually 3D print this, the wheels will really turn. So I'm going to go a little farther like that. Maybe an inch past or something. And then just hit OK. All right, so that one's done. Now, since I'm mirroring half my car to the other side, I'll only do one side. So the other wheel's done exactly the same way. Okay, and you can see it better in 3D again. View, visual style, shaded with. Okay, so there's the wheel well. When you get all your cutouts done, and don't do this till every cutout's done, and you can't have any crazy shapes or it'll break on it, but once your filleting is all done and your cutouts are all in there, and you can shell it. Now, do not cut the windows out till after you shell it, because that way it'll be empty in the middle like a vehicle is. It'll look a lot cooler, okay? So don't cut the windows out until after you shell it. All right, so to say I had all the wheel wells done, all my fillets done, and all my cutouts done, which I do not. Okay, but hopefully we'll have that next class. The shell's pretty easy. Just don't pick anything to disappear. So when you go to shell, the more complicated your car is, the better chance it's going to have a failure and it can't figure out math. Always save it before you do it, before you shell it, in case it completely locks up. Then you go to shell, and I would try to make at least an inch or two thick. Sometimes that will not work. So I'm going to try one to start out with. And I'm not picking any faces because I want the thing to just be hollow. Okay, so I'm just going to pick OK. Right, I might crank for a while, but it'll usually fail pretty quick if it's going to fail. So then your screen will turn black like that, and eventually it should come out of it. I think that's enough for this video. So when you get half of it all, before you do that, of course, if you're going to mirror half the car like I am, cut half the car away from the front, mirror it over the mid plane, and then shell it. Okay, so you'd want to mirror before you shell it too. Okay, if there's any places that are like goofy inside it, the shell will fail. Okay, I'll unpause this after it gets done. Okay, after all that, it failed. It said could not create. So I expand all this out. Unable to solve for an edge. So there's something that it doesn't like. So thin face is the input over large. So you just go to edit and make it thinner. So I'm going to go to 0.5 because it looked like, where it's going to fail would be places that it gets really skinny. So fillets help get rid of some of those problems. It might be failing on that fin where it's real tight up there. I'm going to try 0.5 now and see what happens. Okay, or where major changes happen real quick where it fails too. Okay, I did get a shell. My shell did have a failure and I can't get it out of it. So I'm going to continue to add fillets and clean this thing up and mirror it and see if it works later. Don't rush through it like I did. I kind of did that just so you can see the different things to do here. So take your time and add all the fillets, all the cutouts, front and back, and everything.